Please welcome the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Nadhim Zahawi.
Good morning, conference. It's great to be back, surrounded by the friends and, of course, at the beating heart of the Conservative family. I want to tell you a bit about what brought me here today, because it's been a long way from Baghdad to Birmingham. As many of you know, I was born in Saddam's Iraq, and aged 11, I was given an impossibly precious gift. A new start in a new country. A country where the good, kind, devoted head of state cut ribbons and organized garden parties, not endless parades of tanks and missiles. And growing up in this wonderful country, I wanted nothing to do with politics. Because for me, politics meant fear. Politics was a door kicked off its hinges in the middle of the night. The unmarked van. The muffled scream in a government cell. So when I got to university and first encountered politics, my instinct was to keep well clear. I remember on one of my first days at University College London, at the Freshers' Fair, in fact, a lefty student came up and offered me a copy of the Socialist Workers' Party magazine. I very politely declined and tried to move on. "You race traitor," he shouted at me, right in my face. So I thought to myself, what could I do? What could I do that will really rile this bloke up? How can I? How can I really get under his skin? And the answer was obvious. I immediately marched over to the UCL Conservative stand and asked them to sign me up. And boom! At that moment, I was hooked on politics. So since then, like many of you and like our amazing new Prime Minister, I've been a local councillor. I spent 3 terms as a borough councillor in Wandsworth, that flagship low-tax council that I know we will win back in a few years' time. I built a great British business, and thanks to the Conservative and Unionist Party, the boy from Baghdad is now the Member of Parliament for Shakespeare and holds the wonderfully arcane title of Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. And just last month, in my second day in the job, it became the privilege of my life to deliver the commemorations to Her late Majesty's funeral. 1,100 talented civil servants from across government, the police, the armed forces, even politicians, all pulling in one direction and delivering a fitting farewell to Elizabeth the Great. And conference, next year we will do it all over again for His Majesty's coronation. In what other country? In what other country, I ask you? In what other country, I ask you, would someone like a scared 11-year-old boy from Iraq be able to do that? I've been lucky enough to have my British dream come true. My friends, it's our sacred mission to help our fellow Britons realise their British dream as well. We will always be the party of aspiration and achievement, and the left hate that about us. They can't stand that we exist to help people make the most of their lives, to go as far as their talents will take them, to make the world a better place, to pass on to their children and grandchildren, to earn their own success. They can't stand it. This year, I was lucky enough to have the ultimate summer job, that of Chancellor of the Exchequer. But in all seriousness, my stint in His Majesty's Treasury reinforced a lesson that I already knew from business. The Chancellor of the Exchequer is the government's chief financial officer. Those of you in business, in the audience and at home, will understand that the CFO needs to be an enabler. They need to help empower the decisions of the CEO and the whole team. In this case, to help people to make the most of their opportunities. And under my old friend Kwasi Kwarteng, armed with our ambitious growth plan, this Treasury will be an enabler, an opportunity unblocker, a job and growth creator. Conference, as the new Minister for Intergovernmental Relations, I'd also like to draw special attention to our beloved union. I don't need to tell the Conservative and Unionist Party of the importance of the union. The bond of our four nations isn't a soulless contract, a mere fiscal transfer. It is a covenant, a bond forged hundreds of years before Zahawi even set foot on these shores. It has endured throughout the toughest of times, and our nation has faced, and it must and will endure. As a proud Briton, I feel the bond of England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland in the marrow of my bones. I know that you all do too. We also know that this union needs constant renewal. So instead of ceding the field to narrow-minded nationalists, let's talk up the opportunity that the union provides, the security it brings in times of trouble, the bright future that our island story promises for all. Today, we should ask ourselves this question. What would Vladimir Putin prefer? A strong, confident United Kingdom able to project power across Europe? Or a divided house squabbling amongst itself, obsessed with the question of identity? This time last week, I chaired a meeting of the New Islands Forum in far-flung Orkney. Those fine people are not served by constitutional squabbles about Scotland's future. They are served by certainty that the union of the United Kingdom under a new king and with a Conservative administration provides them. So in this hall today, let us reaffirm from Orkney to Cornwall, our union will endure and thrive under this renewed shared purpose. In a similar vein, I want to talk a little bit about another part of my portfolio, the equalities brief. As the party of the family, we know that families come in all shapes and sizes. It was a Conservative government that legalised same-sex marriage because love is love. Because it's the individual, not the state, who gets to decide who we fall in love with. And inspired by our belief in the individual, this government is firm that LGBT people should be free to live their lives as they wish and love who they want. I've suffered my fair share of prejudice growing up, but I also know that Britain is one of the least racist countries on earth. The British people are more concerned about treating everyone with dignity, respect, and fairness than any other people on earth. We aren't perfect. There's always more to do. But instead of wasting taxpayers' hard-earned cash indulging shrill lefties, we must redouble our focus on changing and improving lives. Now here's a sobering stat, conference. Over 63,000 girls excel in maths in primary schools every single year. But by the time they get to sixth form, fewer than 4,000 of them will take further maths at A-level. Imagine what Britain would be like if our concern for equality led us to producing tens of thousands of female mathematicians every year instead of trying to placate the placard wavers and the woke warriors. Mia Zahawi is the most precious thing in my life. She turned 10 this past weekend, and I want her to have the same opportunities her big brothers had. Equality of opportunity means real benefits, and not only for women and girls, but for our society and economy as a whole. It is my fervent commitment that no one's destiny is determined by their background. Now, speaking of opportunities for women in this country, I want to talk about our new Prime Minister, the third woman Prime Minister this country has had, and the third Conservative woman Prime Minister at that. Labour, all talk, but all we see is trousers. Let me just give you an insight into how the Prime Minister operates. You may have read that she does her box work and hosts meetings at the cabinet table with papers all around her and her fantastic team by her side. Our new Prime Minister has total clarity of what she wants to happen. She has the laser-like focus that is a prerequisite of a great CEO. And crucially, she knows her own mind. She has told me what she wants to deliver, and she has asked me to oversee that delivery, effectively as the Chief Operating Officer of this administration. And be in no doubt, conference, this government will share that same laser-like focus, and it will deliver on the tangible things that really matter to the British people. What does delivery really mean? It means actually getting the job done. It's been a constant strength of a Conservative administration down the years. But I have to say, all too often now, it's become just another political buzzword. So let me bring to life what Britain will actually look like in a few years' time when this government has delivered on its pledges. Delivery looks like Suella Braverman in the Home Office, getting illegal migrants on planes to Rwanda, tackling the criminal gangs, tackling those evil criminal gangs, bringing people over on small boats, bringing down crime with more bobbies on the beat, policing real crimes and not policing free speech. Delivery looks like Ben Wallace. Delivery looks like Ben Wallace in defence, keeping Britain safe, developing more advanced defence systems, putting more weapons in the hands of brave Ukrainians, and standing up to Putin's barbaric illegal war. Delivery looks like our amazing new Deputy Prime Minister, Therese Coffey, in health, tackling the problems facing our NHS with her A, B, C, D priorities: ambulances, backlogs, care, doctors and dentists. Delivery looks like Jacob Rees-Mogg in the Business and Energy Department, galvanising the energy industry and making sure your bills are lower. And of course, along with Simon Clarke, bringing investment zones to every corner of our country, delivering well-paid jobs, developing those new technologies of the future. And it looks like Kit Malthouse in education, making sure that your children and grandchildren have skills they need to get on in life vocational, of course, as well as academic. Delivery looks like my old friend Brandon Lewis in Justice, clearing the court's COVID backlog and seeing that justice is done and is seen to be done. And of course, delivery is Anne-Marie Trevelyan in transport, getting spades in the ground for new roads to get Britain moving. Delivery looks like Kemi Badenoch in international trade, signing more of those trade deals, helping businesses export more products and services around the world. And I could go on and on and on. That's an amazing programme of government, my friends. We will focus on delivering all of that. And when we do, we will blow Labour out of the water. And we will secure that historic fifth Conservative term in office for the Prime Minister and this amazing Conservative and Unionist party. And crucially, we will make lives better for our fellow Britons up and down the country, the greatest country on earth. Thank you.